Everyone, we have a special guest visiting us at the Tavern today. You've seen him on AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan, Reality of Wrestling, New Texas Pro, and many other independents. The ROW Heavyweight Champion and the ROW Texas Champion, Mr. Will Allday. What's going on, man?
Hey, not a whole lot. That's a hell of an intro.
Hey,
man. We try. You earned it, man. You've earned it. You've done a lot. What's been going on in your world lately, dude?
You know what? Not a whole lot. I had a pretty light December on purpose. I've been kind of trying to heal from a couple like nagging injuries, so I took it pretty light. But the shows I did were good. You know, they were impactful, and I had a bit of fun. And I'm looking to start 2022 with a bang, man.
Yeah, man. That I know you're big. You're kind of a mainstay on the Texas scene down there, and that scene is just like kind of on fire. It just looks extremely healthy right now. Can you talk to us about the Texas independent scene and maybe what's special about it? What do you think sets it apart from maybe other scenes that fans may know?
Yeah, I think it's been like this for a while. It's been good for a while. It's just now we're starting to get on, like, I guess, more internet buzz, right? Because there are fans there. There have been hundreds and hundreds of fans at each show we go to. So it's not like we're lacking asses in seats. We're just lacking eyes on the internet. And it sucks that, they're the most vocal fans, but that's what it is. It's the people that lead other people to follow. And luckily, the place to be is Texas right now because people are just starting to get eyes on it. And like I said, it's been like this for a while because of the talent. You know, everybody has promotions all over, but it's not as oversaturated as the Northeast or Florida or the Midwest, because there are, hundreds of promotions all over there, but there's not a tremendous amount here. So when you do get to Houston, you only really have two places to work if you want to make a name for yourself. When you go to Dallas, you have a handful more. When you go to Austin, you have a couple. But it's not like these areas that used to be on fire that have 5, 6, 7 different promotions within the same city. So, it's easy to get lost in stuff like that. But where we are here in Texas, the fans in Houston really want to go see the best shows, and that is Reality or Wrestling or New Texas or Loco, and so it's like that here in Texas because everything's so spread out, whereas you go to the Midwest or Northeast, you're in a new state in an hour or two. You drive 12 hours, I guess, west from where I am, and you're still in Texas.
Right.
So it's just now the internet's finally coming around to it, but the people that have been here, fans and wrestlers alike, they know this is the place to be, and that's why you don't see a lot of people getting out of here unless they're going to these upper tier promotions.
Yeah, when I think of like that Texas scene, like you said, it's really been picking up on social media. I'm thinking of like New Texas Pro, ROW. I'm thinking of even Mission Pro out in San Antonio. They're doing big things. I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of Brian Keith. Is there maybe anyone that's like staples in that scene that you think people should know about that maybe we haven't heard about yet?
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if you haven't heard about them now because, like you said, the eyes are on us now. But I'd say, like, really, if you want to go for the pillars of Texas, you go for the cities. You go to Houston, you got myself, you have Brian Keith, you have Mysterious Q, you have Cameron Cole. You go to San Antonio, there is Thunder Rosa, and she's a massive draw. Even before she went to AEW, she promoted the hell out of everything she did. So there were always fans coming to whatever show she was at because she does such a good job, not only in the ring, but outside the ring. You go to Austin where you had like ACH and Ricky Starks come from. So obviously, that there's name value there. There's talent to be had. And in Dallas, gosh, there are so many guys in Dallas, but you have like Chandler Hopkins is a name that comes to mind. That
he's been on our show.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of great things, and he does it the right way. He busts his ass, and he likes to work hard in the ring. He doesn't kiss ass. He doesn't do any of the wrong things. So he's a guy that I really respect and admire for the way he does things. But if you get down here, there's talent everywhere you go, and you know, I can only name so many names
Right.
right here off the top of my head. But if you go to a card here in Texas, you're going to see people that should be on bigger promotions, that should be signed to contracted TV promotions. So it's cool to see a lot of these guys at the base level, and you know that something's going to happen to a handful of these guys because they are so talented and they just need that right moment or those right eyes on them.
So walk us through a day, maybe like it's a show day. You've got a show that night. Walk us through kind of your routine for the day.
Well, I get a little stir crazy, so I don't like to get there too early because then I'm just standing around trying to find something to do for the longest time. So you know, when I get there, it's all business. I do my pleasantries, but when I get there, I essentially figure out what needs to be done. I address that as soon as I can. That way, I can have time to have whatever it is marinate for me, and then to get in the zone. Really, I kind of, you know, I've been an athlete my whole life, so it's been a process that I've been doing for a long time now. I won't give away my age because I'm forever young, but you know, but you know, a little bit of light stretching. I get in the zone like mentally because I kind of have to. I've just always been like super intense with competition and with like sports and whatnot. So I treat this no differently. You know, outside of that, I like to kind of be light, easygoing, and you know, I like to be laid back. I like to have fun. You know, if I wasn't doing this, I'd love to do something within comedy, but doesn't
Yeah.
really make money in wrestling. So, you know, back to the athlete grind it is.
Yeah.
And I just have to do something that really kind of sets my mind right and gets me into that like nobody can touch me zone. And there's no real set thing. It's more so me just kind of getting inside myself and really like thinking of like who I need to be here in the next 30 minutes or an hour.
Are you kind of a get in the zone in silence guy? Do you have music? Like
No, I never have music. It does help me sometimes, but the music kind of distracts me from what I need to be focusing on. I like to focus, you know, I
right,
like to
right.
hyper focus really. And so a lot of the times I'll say like, hey man, I'm not trying to be rude, but you know, my mind's in one place. So can I talk to you after this? And
Yeah.
so I'll kind of brush people off like that because I have to, you know, I have to focus on the deed, the job ahead. And until that's done, you know, I don't want to be thinking about anything else.
So we talked a little bit about the independence. So for any fan out there that maybe only consumes like the mainstream product,
Hmm.
why let them know why the indies are important and like and why they should be paying attention to them.
Well, I think right then and there, you can really see, and again, it's depending on the show because a lot of times you have to look at it like a circus. You know, sometimes you're going to see the circus, but you want those guys to come to see you. You know, everybody wants that "this is awesome" chant, but not a lot of people like realize that that's not the thing that we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is get you to cheer my name or my catchphrase or something for me because then you're emotionally invested in somebody, right? It's hard to have everybody on a show get signed. Like at the end of the day, it's competition. So that's, I guess, really where you see who stands out as an individual, the indies, and then what shows stand out, and that's tough to do, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of magical seeing that from the bottom, seeing like a guy you've never seen before, and maybe a lot of people have never seen before, and they're crickets when he comes out, but the next two, three, four times you see him, you start hearing smatterings of cheers and then more cheers and then more cheers. And it's cool to see that progression, the evolution of somebody kind of finding their own way and finding a way to get to that next level. And so it's like anything. If you're a fan of baseball, you know, you like to see the magic of minor league baseball. You like to see these guys putting the work in rookie ball and then single A and double A and triple A, because if you see that somebody has something from that beginning, how can they make the most of it? And it's cool to see that, you know. You can I guess really put into like a Pokemon perspective too, right? You have your like base little Pokemon, and that's the first thing you see, and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool, I kind of like him. And then you see him grow, and he's evolving, and he's getting to that level where you like, obviously everybody loves that Charizard type character, right? He's all powerful, he's cool, but it's cool to see somebody grow into that. And I think that's the magic of the indies, really. The intimate atmosphere too, but you know, anybody can pick that out. To me, it's seeing people grow.
I love that. And I really like what you said, how, you know, you guys aren't necessarily looking for those "this is awesome" chants, although they're great to get.
Yeah.
You're looking for them to chant your name. And that's an interesting aspect of it I've never really thought about. Like, yeah, if you get two guys in there that tear it up in the ring, and the crowd's reacting to the match itself, that's one thing. But when they start reacting to you yourself, like you said, it's an individualistic, although it takes a couple to tango, it is an individualistic pursuit. So that's extremely interesting to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think a lot of it, I guess it's kind of controversial because, you know, everybody's like, hey, everybody gets a trophy. Let's slap hands with everybody. Let's make sure everybody's having a good time. But at the end of the day, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to get a job. I'm here to get on TV. You know,
Right.
like I do want everybody to succeed, but my goal is first and foremost to get a leg up and get where I need to get to, because I can't really help people down at this level. But if I get up to another level, though, I can help people up to my level, you
Right.
know, and that's where you start helping people. It's tough to learn from somebody or really help people that are on the same level as you. You know, it's a business where if you are going to help somebody, it's got to be like where you have leverage. And so that could mean so many different things, but I don't think a lot of people think about it that way nowadays. And I think they should, because I think that could help the business as a whole grow and get back to where we want it to get to, where the fans were going crazy because they wanted to see the Attitude Era. They wanted to see the stars, you know, like, yeah, they loved the show, but they really wanted to see Stone Cold. They really wanted to see The Rock. They really wanted to see DX. They really wanted to see, you know, Val Venus, right? Because,
Right.
you know, they emotionally connect with these people or these characters. And I think on the indies, I think they're doing a better job here in the past like year or two doing that, because you do have characters that you want to see, instead of, you know, people are kind of moving away from the WWE type thing to where you're going to see the circus, essentially. I mean, that's essentially what it is now. You're
Yeah.
just getting paid
Yeah.
a lot of money to do it, right? And it depends on what your goals are, but to me, you know, I want to leave a legacy, but I also got to make money doing it, or else you know, my body's going to be hurting. I'm going to be living in a shack for the rest of my life. You know, there's stuff that goes on with it. It's still a job at the end of the day. So I like to treat it like that first and foremost. That being said, you know, it's way too painful and there's a lot going on that if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to do it. So it is something I enjoy. Don't let me go off on a tangent too long.
So let's take it back, man. Let's go back way in the past. So what are your early wrestling fandom memories? Like, who were your favorites when you were growing up?
That's easy. That's one guy and one guy only, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Love it.
Yeah.
And that's the first match I ever watched. It was me and my dad and my brother went to a Blockbuster, and we rented WrestleMania 14. And you know, there I'm dating myself there, but
That's okay, man. We're old.
Yeah, we're there with you, man.
But it was cool. It was, you know, we walked around and we picked up this thing. Mike Tyson was on it, so my dad liked it because obviously he was huge in the super late 90s. And so we picked it up, put it in, and I saw Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold. And from then I was hooked on Steve Austin. I thought he was the coolest thing in the world. He resonated with me because I felt like we were similar. We always had like an edge to us, even when I was, as young as I was. I was always like the guy with like a little bit of attitude coming into all my sports, and so he just really resonated with me. And from then on, I couldn't stop wearing my Stone Cold T-shirts or getting a Stone Cold hat. So I thought that was really cool. And then I stopped watching for a little bit. I came back and like whenever WrestleMania 25 was, oh eight or '09, and I think I fell in love all over again because I love the athleticism married with the pageantry, and I saw a little bit of nostalgia with some of the guys I used to watch in the Attitude Era, and then some of the new guys. Like I saw John Cena for the first time, and my buddies who were wrestling fans, and I wasn't, at the time, were like, "Oh man, he sucks. We hate him. We can't like him." And I'm like, "What? Like you guys are stupid. This guy's awesome."
Yeah.
He's built like a brick shit house. He's throwing two guys around at the same time. How do you not like this guy? They're like, "Oh well, he wins all the time." I'm like, "Okay, so whatever." Yeah. But those are some of the cool memories I have from the past. Is stuff like that, and always cheering for Austin to beat up his boss, because again, even in elementary school, like it's cool to me. It's cool to me seeing somebody being able to act like a big kid and kind of do what they want. So,
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
So how
it's crazy, man. I feel like everybody has that story where they watched it, then left for a while, and then came back and rediscovered the past. I feel like those are the most passionate wrestling fans, are the ones that come back to it.
Yeah, it really is. It's like that thing. If you love it, let it go. If it comes back to you, it was meant to be.
Yeah. That's essentially what it was.
Yeah, same thing with me, man. I went away from it for a couple years, probably in my late high school, early college years, and then came back and fell in love with it even more, being older and being able to appreciate it more.
Yeah, you start to understand things more, and with that comes the appreciation. And so I think that happens with everybody the longer they watch something.
So what made you decide, you're a fan, you grew up loving Stone Cold. What was that moment for you when you're like, you know what? I don't want to be just a fan. I think I actually want to give a go at this.
Man, it was so gradual, because like I said, I've been an athlete my whole life, and I was playing sports in college. And even then I was like, man, I want to go do this. And I would tell my teammates, hey, I want to go do this. And then I went, graduated and got a job and worked for like 5 years while doing like softball or like flag football or soccer, on the weekends or the weeknights, because, I still had to get my like competition fix, really. And all the while I'm at work, and the only thing that I'm really like enjoying while I'm at work is the time that I get to be on the computer looking up like wrestling stuff. It sounds super nerdy, but it's because it is.
I can relate.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's if I'm at work and that's the thing that I'm doing for enjoyment every single day, I'm like, why am I not just doing this by now? And then the years creep up on you, and I kind of had this like crap or get off the pot moment to where finally I was like, you know what? I got to do this, because, any athletics is a young man's game. And so I finally had to pull the trigger. And, I looked up schools, and there happened to be Booker T school in Houston, which is where I'm from. And, lo and behold, it's the best school that you can go to, and, all across the world. So I did go there, and I figured out if this was going to be something for me. And right off the bat, I started to excel. And I thought, well, there's no looking back now, because this is something that I'm going to regret not doing if I don't pull the trigger on it. So I did. And I think the reason it took me so long, honestly, was because I'm a smaller guy, and it's tough. It's tough in any athletics, being a smaller guy, to excel or to get to that mountaintop. And so when I watched Daniel Bryan actually main event WrestleMania and like get to that mountaintop, to me that was a moment in my mind to where I realized like, oh man, it is possible, because I didn't want to just do this because I loved it or do it for fun. You know, I wanted to do it and be the best at it. And I wanted to be on that mountaintop. That's where I wanted to be. I didn't want to do it as a hobby. I didn't want to just be on the team. You know, I want the ball in my hands. You know, I always use that metaphor because it's so fitting for me, right? I don't like I don't even like playing receiver. I like playing quarterback because I want the ball in my hands all the time. And so
Every snap.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's just my mentality. And if I wasn't going to be able to do that, then it wasn't going to be for me. And I realized that there was the possibility of that before I started. And then once I started, there definitely was a possibility of that. And so, you know, that's my goal right now is to become, you know, I started too late. I always say I started too late to become the best ever, but my goal is to become the best in the world. And so, you know, that's what I'm shooting for.
So what was the experience like going into, you know, the training school under Booker T, like learning under such a Hall of Famer like that?
It's surreal. It really is. It's cool because you see these guys that you used to see on TV and they're right here in front of you and they're yelling at you and you know they're telling you you know things to get better, and he can be pretty tough, but I think you have to have tough skin to do something like this. And so um you know it's fading quickly, that type of pushing, that type of coaching, that type of teaching. But I think that with him, because he's been there and done it, and he does make soldiers, he makes people like where he tests you all. Like you're not gonna be able to crack working there because he gets you ready really for the big stage, and that's a big reason why I did it. And um, you know, it's cool seeing him as a peer now, whereas I saw him as a superstar, and then I saw him as a trainer, and now it's, you know, more eye to eye, and I think he respects that too.
What when you look back at like maybe those early days of being under his tutelage, like what was something that he said maybe specifically that really stuck in your head that you still I'm sure there are tons of things, but what's that one thing that really like pops into your head that he told you that you carry to this day?
Man, it's tough to think off the top of your head, but a couple of them is he always said, you know, don't play wrestler, be a wrestler. That means like don't go in there and like act like a wrestler, and don't do these things and act like you're supposed to do them. Do them because like that's who you are. And I think that that really helped me. I didn't really get that until about a year in, and honestly, that's when I really started to excel. That's when I really started to take off. Was when it started to become like, I don't want to say real to me, but pretty close to where like when I'm in there, that's me in there and not somebody I'm playing. And I think that if people, and you could take this as life advice really, because I think it can fit with really anything, is if you're really confident in who you are and you're portraying the confidence that like, or you're exuding the confidence, then you know people are going to believe in you, and that can go along with so many industries. But it really is the truth. You see people in the ring all the time, putting on a performance, but you don't really believe it. You don't know why, and it's because they don't themselves believe it. And so, once that kind of clicked for me, I could tell that people really, really started gravitating towards me, and it was because everything I did was just unique. It was authentic, or not unique. It was authentic to who I was, and you know that's probably some of the best advice he's really given me.
Yeah, I remember hearing Stone Cold talk about how at the height of it, when he was fully in, it was like he was living the gimmick. Like he was
Yeah,
buying so far in, it was hard for him to even separate himself from in ring to when he was at home.
yeah, and that's when you get real reactions in the ring and outside the ring, because people are enjoying like what's going on. They can tell that you're having fun, but they can also tell that like what you're doing is how you would do it. And I think that it's more enjoyable for people to watch, in my opinion, when stuff like that happens. And I try to stay away from. He always taught me. Booker T did. He always taught me that like leave the haha at home. You can do the haha you know like I did in the grocery store, right? There's room for that in like promos or in skits or something. But once you get in the ring, you want to treat it like it's not a joke. You want to treat it like it is something that you're in there to win at the end of the day. So you're trying to kick somebody's ass. And me being that little bulldog that I've always had to be, it really resonated with me. And so those are just some tidbits that I really learned from Booker T.
How did your shots with AEW come about? Like, I know you've had some great pop in moments. You had that match with Miro. You've had some tag matches. Like, how did those shots come about for you?
Well, they reached out. And with something like that, again, another like life lesson is it's a lot about who you know. It's a lot about who can put in a good word for you, who has like that credit to throw their neck out there, throw your name out there too. And I know that I have some people that I've worked with in the past that I've earned some respect with just by being a good person, good businessman. But at the end of the day, you got to be a good performer. And so working with certain people as you go all around the U.S. and doing that really helps build up your credibility. And when the time comes and somebody asks, hey, who should we be looking out for? My name happened to come up, and they gave me a shot with a handful of matches against Joey Janela and Lee Johnson and the Varsity Blondes and Miro and the Dark Order and stuff like that. But once you get there, it's all on you to deliver. They can only say so many nice things about you. Once you get in the ring, they have no control over what happens. So at that point, it's do I want to embarrass these people who have bet on me, or do I want to bet on myself and really kick some ass? And so I think I did a good job there, and I'll be back.
What was that experience like? Just kind of set the stage for us, the environment, the background, kind of the vibe of being at a taping.
It's getting more and more strict now. It's getting more and more like WWE, because they're starting to understand, the most efficient way to run things. And WWE's been doing this for obviously, 40 years, right? But it's still more relaxed. There's people that are friendly in the locker rooms in AEW, and maybe it's because I've been there plenty of times now, but they're a lot more friendly. They're a lot more outgoing. They're a lot more helpful. In WWE, you don't really see a whole lot of the talent a lot of the time. And so that's the major difference there. But at the end of the day, you're all trying to do the same thing. You're all trying to put on the best show possible, right? And so other than that, it's all the same, really. You go to an indie show, you go to WWE, you go to AEW. At the end of the day, everybody's trying to do the same thing, and that's bust their ass, make a name for themselves, and make some money.
Yeah, I know you've worked with WWE, Impact, New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any stark differences, like between not necessarily like the higher ups or anything like that, but just like being backstage? Is there any vibe changes, or maybe how's New Japan feel compared to a WWE?
I'd say New Japan's probably the most unique out of all those, because I don't know if it's because it's all guys, but it's more so like a sports locker room there in New Japan. They really do treat it like a sport. And so that was the coolest thing to see for me, is that difference there. Whereas, a lot of it is showbiz at the end of the day. It's sports entertainment, but they really do try to emphasize the sports at New Japan.
That's awesome.
So like when you look at the landscape of professional wrestling, are there any companies that like pique your interest that you would want to join full time
for independent wrestling?
At just the landscape of professional wrestling, just any of the majors,
any majors,
yeah.
Just some of the majors kind of maybe like if you had your pick of the litter, who would you be like, man, I'd really like to have a run there?
Oh man, you're boxing me into a corner here, because if I say something and some of the other guys are listening, I'm gonna be screwed. I don't. It's such a hard question to answer, really, because until you're there, you don't really know what they want to do with you.
Right.
And like I said, I want to build a legacy, and so it's tough to do that if you're not given the opportunities to do that. And so, honestly, the correct answer for me is anywhere where they're going to give me a shot to like actually do my thing, do my own thing, because it's working everywhere I go. I just I need more eyes on me, and so hopefully there's a time soon here in the near future that somebody does decide to bet on Will Allday, and we'll see when that happens.
And I think that's a great answer, because didn't mean to put you in a corner, because I know how that is, but like it is such a great time for young wrestlers because the landscape is wide open. Obviously, everyone's talking about the AEWs, the WWEs, but I mean, you have NWA, MLW, Impact. I mean, even GCW is kind of blowing up. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff out there.
yeah, there is, and it's tough to pick just one, because a lot of times, like, you don't know where the winds are going to take you. You don't know if your 2-year stint in one company is going to help springboard you to another place, and so who knows? You can't really plan on something like that. Obviously, like, I want to headline WrestleMania. Who doesn't, right? But
Right.
it's so far and few between that who knows when that'll happen. But that's always a goal, obviously, until it gets bought by Disney and there are no more WrestleManias. We'll see.
Yeah. What's some of your passions, just shit you enjoy when you're not nothing to do with wrestling, when you're just winding down? Like what's some of your other passions?
Well, uh I don't help run it, but I work with a dog rescue that I like doing. My sister started one, and I like to help her out, and I really enjoy that. I like dogs. I like animals. I like sports. If I wasn't doing wrestling, I'd be trying to play some sport. Just man, getting tongue tied, guys. I'd be trying to play some sort of sport for each night of the week, because that's just what I enjoy. I enjoy being active. I enjoy the competition. I enjoy getting out there and moving. I don't like to sit around too much.
Yeah.
I have like an hour at the end of the day where I can't really move anymore, and so that's when I'll like watch some TV. But other than that, I like just getting out. I like being active, getting some sun.
I love your sister's involved with the rescue. Big animal lover here too. I have multiple cats and dogs, so
Good.
that's a very honorable pursuit for sure.
Yeah, she always busts her ass, and I mean, like, I'm at my parents' house for the holidays, and they have 9 dogs here.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Ooh, yeah, it's awesome. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. So if you were to define what makes pro wrestling awesome to someone who maybe is completely out of the bubble, has no clue, what would you tell them? What makes pro wrestling awesome?
Man, there are so many things. If you want to go with just like the general, the ridiculously like athletic nature of it, mixed with like the pageantry of the characters and like just the showmanship of it, sure, you can go that route. You can go the route of there's so many different characters, there's so many different styles, there's so many different promotions for anybody who has a preference, anybody who has different interests. There's something for everybody, and I think that's probably the coolest thing, because it is an all-inclusive type sport or type of entertainment, really. You have people from all walks of life. You have all types of genders, all types of ethnicities, all types of interests. So it's something that anybody from any walk of life can come into and point and look at somebody and say, hey, that guy's like me, that girl's like me, or something like that. It's something that makes you feel at home. And I had a family member come to a show, the New Texas show I did last weekend, I think, or 2 weekends ago. And they had such a blast. They had such a blast because this was their first ever wrestling event that they've ever been to. And their comment was that I didn't have to worry about anybody like sitting there and judging me. I didn't have to worry about like sitting like prim and proper like we do, as we get older and we go to these black tie events or, dinner parties or whatnot. It was something where you could just yell out whatever you wanted and have fun, and just like you didn't have people looking at you weird because everybody was there for the same reason. That was just to have a good time. And I think that's the most magical thing about it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love getting the reactions of people that have never been.
Yeah.
It's the most pure like reaction you can have to get a taste of it.
Yeah.
So wrapping up, only a few more things, but I always like to ask, you have wrestled pretty much a who's who of top guys. So is there any particular opponents or particular matches or even just moments in general that stick out to you thus far in your career where you look back at that match or that opponent and you're like, man, that I learned something about myself right there?
Oh man. One right now that sticks out to me is opponent wise is Cameron Cole. And he may not be a like name all around the nation, but he's a row guy. He's one of the guys who really he lent me that hand when I was on a lower level, and he helped me up to his level when I was starting. And I'll never forget that because, again, it takes people to have like a helping hand. It's rare that you find a ladder to get up another level in this business. You normally have to have somebody help you. And he did. And so ever since that happened, I've been trying to help him everywhere I go and vice versa. And we've become real close, and we've wrestled, I want to say like probably 30 times. And so just wrestling somebody like that, knowing that I can trust him in there, and not just like physically, but also like every time we get in there, it's magic. Every single match we've had has been great, great to amazing. And I won my very first Reality of Wrestling championship from him at Summer of Champions this year. And that was a really cool feeling because I feel like we both put all the effort in, we both busted our asses, and we wanted to make it, great for both parties. And at the end of the day, if you're having a match, it does take two to tango, like you said. And so to make something great with him, it's so easy. And I'll always be forever grateful to him for helping me on my way.
So that made me think of something like for young independent wrestlers who are just getting in right now. What if you were to tell them, I feel like there are lessons to be learned, and every match, no matter how small or how long, has a lesson to it. Whether you're putting on a 5-star 30-minute classic with someone, or you're wrestling a bigger guy for 2 minutes.
Right.
What would you say is the lesson for when you're in a match with a Cameron Cole versus like Miro on AEW? Like what are the two things that you took from those type of matches? What do you get from that?
Well, I think you have to think about it from a business perspective first and foremost. You have to look at it, and you have to know that everybody has their own role. Not everybody can be in the main event every single show. Sometimes you do have those 20, 30-minute matches where you do want to pull everything out and you do want to bust your ass and have, the crowd on the edge of their seat. But sometimes that's not your role. Sometimes the producer gets back to you and puts you in a 2-minute match with Miro, right? And what's your job there? Your job is to make him look good. Your job is to make everything smooth is to get him over as the monster that he is. And I think when people start realizing that, I think that the shows everywhere really are going to start flowing a lot smoother, because as much as I like wrestling, it's hard to watch 2 hours of nonstop wrestling. It's hard to watch 8 bangers in a row on a show.
Right.
It's exhausting. By the time you get to match number 4 or 5, the crowd's tired. And so you do have to have those ebbs and flows, and that's not just on the promoter. It's also on the talent to know their place for a specific time. I'll put it to you like this: I didn't get it really until I did I think a primetime live over on the West Coast, and Damian Sandow was actually the producer there. And I was supposed to be wrestling this one guy, and I think it was like a 5-minute match. And he was like, "Hey, I need you to really beat the crap out of him. That this is what we need." And I felt bad because I knew this guy was looking for a start. I knew he was looking for a foot in the door, and I knew he wanted to impress. And so he was kind of down about it. And I like to help people, so I went back to Sandow and I was like, "Hey, is there any way like we could do this? I feel bad, not really giving him much." He was like, "Will, let me teach you this. There's a lesson to be learned. His time will come. His time will come. It's not his time right now. It's your time." And that simple little saying right there put it into perspective for me. I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Because it can't be everybody's time all the time. And so just little business moves like that, I think more people should try to understand, try to learn, and I think really people will progress, and this business will progress if you do learn the right lessons.
And that is I think that's a great answer, because I think by doing those 2-minute matches, you're showing from a business side, like, hey, this guy's game. He's not going to buck back. He's not going to talk like he's here to work. I love that.
Yeah. You're here to do your job. And then if they can trust you with a foot of leash, maybe they give you 2 next time. Maybe they give you 3, right? And so if they can trust you, then they can put you in bigger spots, more important spots. But if they can't trust you with that one little spot you got, it's tough to really get more than that the next time.
So what are your goals over the next 3 years? Do you have any big goals or any goals for yourself?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So being with, I guess really every company I've, sought to be with, TV wise, I realized kind of what I need to do. And, it's everybody's saying, "Hey, you're so great. We really like you a lot." I'm like, "Okay, well, where's the contract? What's going on?"
Yeah.
But, it's about value, because there are hundreds of people right here on the indies that are fantastic wrestlers, like amazing wrestlers. But it's about value. Are you putting those butts in seats? Are you getting the eyes on the TV or the streams? And so, it's an old adage, but like you need to become more popular. You need to build your brand, get more exposure. And so that's really my, I guess, my first and foremost. That's the first goal. And then from there, it's to get a contract. It's to get in front of more people, and to get in front of more people, I want to be on bigger promotions and bigger TV shows. And so it's all the same. It's the same stuff every year. What's the goal? Get signed. Give me a contract. That's my goal for this year, next year, and the year after that.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
So before we let you go, we always like to ask one question. You're making towns. You can have any 3 wrestlers in the car with you, alive or dead, to make those towns. What 3 wrestlers are you picking to be in that car with you?
Okay, well, let's mix this up a little bit with some I don't know and some I do. First off, I have to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin, because man, if I just have the chance to talk with him, that would make my day. That would make my year. And I got to have my riding buddy Cameron Cole. We kind of go everywhere together, and he's a guy that I will stick with through thick and thin. So there's number 2. Now number 3, the last one, that's a toughie. Man, I think I think I gotta go with John Cena. I think he's probably my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
I love
You
it.
know?
Yeah.
Him or AJ Styles, but those two can just give you such a vast like amount of knowledge, and not just wrestling knowledge, just like life knowledge, business knowledge, entertainment knowledge. And so I'd probably go John Cena there, because I do want to follow something like that. You do want to use this as a springboard to build other things as well, because you can't wrestle forever. You can't beat your body up forever. So
Right.
I'd like to see, where his mindset was when he was in my position, and, how that grew.
I love it, man. I want to be in that car. There's a
Yeah,
lot of good stories in that car.
I hope so. Hopefully everybody's not on their phones.
Well, Will, let us know, let our listeners know where they can find you on social media. Let us know any events you have coming up. Get some plugs in, man.
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms, and that includes YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The handle is at I am MRALLDAY. I am Mr. Allday, because that's exactly who I am.
All damn day.
Yeah, all damn day, Will all day. So if all else fails, just look up all damn day, Will all day. But we got shows here coming up. I think I'm going to be doing some stuff on the West Coast. I'm going to be doing some stuff in the Midwest, of course, Texas. And the easiest way to follow along with that is just to follow my social media, because I post where I'm going, where I'm going to be on there. If you're not doing that, then you're not doing yourself a service. So, I want to appreciate and thank you guys for having me on. I really enjoyed my time here.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
we had a
appreciate
blast.
it a lot.
Thank you guys very much. Looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. When you get that contract, we'll have you back
Right.
on, man.
Absolutely.
Have a good night,
Thanks,
Will.
man. Have a good one.
Thank you guys. You too.